to Queen Elizabeth II and tiaras, there is none more iconic than the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. This was one that was given as a wedding present to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth in 1947 from her grandmother, Queen Mary, who we will call the grandmother or the empress of royal tiaras and jewelry collections, because she is really one responsible for how gorgeous the British collection is today. And she gave this piece to Elizabeth, and it became very iconic because Elizabeth wore it a lot in official portraits that were used on stamps, on coins, so many different areas that every time Her Majesty wore this, that became really known as Queen Elizabeth's tiara in some ways, even though really to her, it was still her granny's tiara. So today we are going to talk a little bit about the history of the gorgeous and utterly and insanely iconic Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. But if you guys haven't been here to Royal Fashion News, my name is Brittany, and I usually try to do Tiara Tuesdays every Tuesday. We've been off the last couple weeks, but we are back here. And I recently did a giveaway with one of our sponsors, Ana Lucia Diamonds. They create lab-created diamonds, and I asked many of you both here on this channel and on my main channel, Royal News Network, what is your favorite royal tiara? And this one came up time and time and time again. So that would encourage me to do this video. But if you guys want your own little bit of sparkle in your life, you can check out Ana Lucia Diamonds. They create lab-created diamonds. They have some amazing collections now at some fantastic prices. They are gorgeous pieces. I wear mine all the time, especially my earrings. I just absolutely love them. So if you're interested, there is a link down below and a code as well that you can get 20% off with. So without further ado though, let's go ahead and get started with this one. So as you might imagine, given that it has the name the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, it was named in honor of the committee that formed by Lady Eve Grenville to give a gift to Princess Victoria Mary of Teck. And she was going to marry one of Queen Victoria's grandsons. And that initial son actually ended up dying before they got married. He contracted influenza. So she ended up marrying who at that time was the Duke of York, which is sort of ironic considering the Duke of York later became king. So that was Queen Elizabeth's father. So she married Prince George, the Duke of York, and she became obviously the Duchess of York and the Princess of Wales before eventually becoming Queen Mary. And she rocked this title like no other. She is the one, like I said, responsible for the vast majority of the collection that we have today, the presentation of it, and the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara are a reflection of that. So like I said, it was a wedding gift to Mary, and they paid £5,000 for it from Gerrard's. Now, can you imagine today, not only would that tiara actually probably not be worth maybe as much as you would think intrinsically, but its value because of its association, heavy association with Queen Elizabeth, I think it makes it worth far more. And there was so much money gathered by these women, most of them were aristocrats, that they had enough left over to give to the widows and orphans of the HMS Victoria, which had sunk, and about 300 or so lives were lost. So they were able to give those excess funds to help those who had lost their husbands and fathers. So I think that is fantastic. And she wrote a letter of thank you to the ladies saying, quote, "I need scarcely assure you that the tiara will be ever one of my most valued wedding gifts as a precious proof of your goodwill and affection." So it has this festoon and scroll design. It has 9 large oriental pearls originally on it, including diamond spikes and a bandeau base. So you can almost essentially think of it as in 3 different parts. You have the bandeau base, you have the festoon design, and then you have the pearls on top. Now, why do I say that? Well, because all 3 of those elements can actually be broken apart. So what ended up happening is that Queen Mary, who was very creative with the tiara collection, decided that she didn't want those pearls on top. So she removed them, and then she ended up replacing them with diamonds that came from the County of Surrey necklace tiara that she was also gifted, which we are not familiar with. I would imagine perhaps that one was broken down eventually and partitioned off into uses elsewhere. And the pearls were famously used for the Queen Mary's Lover's Knot tiara. It is not the Cambridge Lover's Knot. That is actually a different tiara. Many mentioned that one as well. But no, this was the Queen Mary's Lover's Knot tiara. It was a popular design at the time. We only have a handful of those, but it was very beautiful. And so the bandeau base as well, which is very simple, could be taken off, and Queen Mary had done that to wear it as sort of a headband. And so this replacement of the pearls with diamonds occurred in 1920, and she got married in 1893. So it took her about 27 years to go ahead and make this change. And so we do have a couple of pictures of her wearing it, obviously with the original pearls. And this tiara could also be put into a small coronet, and she wore this from time to time as well. And as we've discussed many times, the tiara could actually be used as a necklace. I don't think we have ever seen that done, but technically that is possible. And I just love the functionality of tiaras in that way, is that you can get usually multiple things out of them. Sometimes you can take out multiple pieces and put it in different places. So tiaras can be very useful in that respect. So talking about the tiara, again, to reference the lover's knot. So 13 of the 14 pearls were used on the lover's knot, so they had to add an extra one. And you can actually see in the picture here the resemblance to the pearls. But when actually Queen Elizabeth received this tiara, Her Majesty Queen Mary had actually broken up the tiara into two pieces. So this is the ornate festoon design and the bandeau base. And Queen Elizabeth, for the first 20 plus years that she owned this tiara, actually just wore the festoon piece of it. She actually didn't wear the base at all and did not reattach it to the tiara. And again, because of this close association with Queen Mary, she called it Granny's tiara. And in 1969, she decided to reattach the bandeau frame to the tiara. And so it became the original one, the iconic one we know today. Now, I will say, I think this tiara is amazing. It's so iconic, but honestly as well, I don't know quite what makes it super unique and great, because there are so many tiaras. And yes, I love this one. I think this one is gorgeous, but there are so many more great, I feel like, more unique pieces than this one. But I really do think the connection with Queen Elizabeth, the amount of time she wore it, how attached to it she was, really did raise its estimation, I think, in many people's minds. And so that is why it's become so iconic. And what's interesting too is that Queen Mary as well could make it tighter, more of a coronet style. And now it doesn't have that totally, but the way it fits on your head, I think it would be harder for some lady styles, because it does go so far back. It just doesn't sit from ear to ear. It actually probably goes behind your head a little bit. And we actually do have this trouble with the amethyst tiara from Sweden, because it is actually a coronet. So it's sort of hard for the ladies to wear it. It looks somewhat weird sometimes. But actually, Princess Madeline of Sweden did the great thing of actually pulling about half of her hair through the tiara so she could wear it more in that traditional way we see women wear tiaras, and yet at the same time hide the base and give the back of her hair a bit of volume. One of the most unique ways I've seen. And I will say, Queen Camilla has busted out this tiara. I don't think anybody was expecting her to do it quite this soon, because again, of the historic and just iconic connection to Queen Elizabeth. But I don't necessarily blame her either. It is a fantastic piece, and it does work very much with her hairstyle, though I can't wait to see what Catherine does with it. And one last note here is, considering all the alterations that Mary made over the period of years, one thing I will say about Queen Elizabeth is that she was not all that creative in her tiara uses compared to some of the other royal families. I'm thinking a lot of mostly Sweden, also the Netherlands. They are very creative with their jewelry collections, how they use different things in their hair. And so I'm really hoping, I don't think Queen Camilla will be all that creative, but I really, really hope Catherine takes some time and does some really interesting things with the tiaras in the future and the different pieces of jewelry. And I do feel like it's a shame we don't see the Brits bust out the tiaras quite as much, but I'm really hoping we see some new and interesting things done with the tiaras in the British royal collection. I'm really, really holding out hope we will see Catherine and Camilla really show us some awesome things, but only time will tell. We do have a state visit coming up later this month, and so I will be setting up a live stream so we can all watch some of the pictures come up together, and hopefully we can wait. And I'm just really wanting Catherine to wear a different tiara. The Queen Mary's lover's knot is lovely, it's iconic, but I'm anxious for something new. We have seen the lotus flower, but again, Catherine's worn that. I want to see her wear something else, because there are so many tiaras in the British collection, and I feel like we see far too few of them. So guys, let me know what you think about this video, about the tiara. I would love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.